He messed with the wrong IT guy, remotely. The blinking cursor on my monitor mocked me. Another password reset for Brenda in accounting. She was the sweetest lady, but technology, and she had a perpetually strained relationship. I sighed, remotely accessed her machine, and within seconds the problem was solved. All set, Brenda, I said into my headset. Just remember to write it down this time. Oh, Mark, you're a lifesaver. I don't know what I'd do without you, she chirped back, her voice warm and grateful. That's what made the endless password resets and printer jams worthwhile. Then Chad arrived. Chad, our newly appointed sales manager, had swagger in spades and the subtlety of a foghorn. He strode past my cubicle, phone glued to his ear, barking orders. I caught snippets about closing deals and crushing the competition. He was the kind of guy who wore a suit even on casual Fridays, and whose cologne announced his presence long before he actually arrived. Later that day, Brenda came to my cubicle, her face etched with worry. Mark, dear, I think I've made a terrible mistake. She explained that she'd been venting to a coworker via email about Chad's overbearing management style. Her frustration boiled over, and in a moment of weakness, she had sent an email calling him a pompous peacock who clearly got his MBA at Clown College. Unfortunately, she'd sent it to Chad himself. My stomach dropped. Oh, Brenda, I apologized profusely, but he just glared at me, she said, her voice trembling. He said he'd remember this. I tried to reassure her. He's probably just blowing off steam. I'm sure he'll forget about it tomorrow. Famous last words. The next morning, the storm broke. I heard Chad's booming voice echoing through the office. He was standing at Brenda's desk, berating her about a minor discrepancy in a report. He was loud, condescending, and unnecessarily harsh. I couldn't stand it. I walked over, trying to keep my voice calm. Hey, Chad, is everything all right here? He turned to me, a sneer twisting his lips. Everything's fine, Mark. Just dealing with some incompetence. He emphasized the word, his eyes fixed on Brenda. Maybe I can help, I offered, trying to de-escalate the situation. Chad chuckled, a sound that grated on my nerves. You, help. Stick to your computers, kid. This is a sales matter. He dismissed me with a wave of his hand. That was the first of many encounters. Chad made Brenda's life a living hell. He'd nitpick her work, publicly humiliate her in meetings, and generally make her feel like she was worthless. The once bright and cheerful Brenda started to look tired and defeated, and then he started on me. Suddenly, things that were never my fault became my responsibility. Chad would accidentally unplug his computer during important presentations and then blame me for the lost work. He'd call me at all hours of the night with ridiculous requests, knowing full well I was off duty. One morning, he demanded I fix his printer by 7 a.m. because he had vital contracts to print. When I arrived at 6:50 a.m., bleary-eyed and annoyed, the printer was working perfectly fine. He just wanted to prove he could inconvenience me. I tried talking to him again, but it was useless. He saw me as nothing more than a nuisance, a lowly techie who dared to question his authority. You know, Mark, he said, leaning back in his ridiculously expensive ergonomic chair, you should focus on keeping the internet running and stay out of grown-up business. Unless you want to find yourself looking for a new job. That's when I knew I had to do something. I confided in Susan, a senior developer in our department. She was smart, tough, and had seen her share of corporate BS. Document everything, Mark, she advised. Every email, every conversation, every instance of harassment. Build a case. I started keeping a meticulous record of Chad's behavior. It was tedious, but it helped me feel like I was doing something, anything, to fight back. One evening, while remotely troubleshooting a problem on Chad's computer, he'd managed to somehow install 15 toolbars on his browser. I stumbled across something interesting. He had a folder labeled Project Phoenix. Curiosity piqued, I opened it. Inside were documents detailing a side business he was running, selling pirated movies and software. He was using company resources, our servers, our internet bandwidth, our computers to make a profit for himself. Bingo. That's when the plan started to form. I knew I couldn't go directly to HR. Chad had already poisoned the well, portraying me as incompetent and unreliable. I needed to be smart, subtle, and above all, anonymous. My plan began with sales figures. Chad had been boasting about his incredible success, claiming to have exceeded all targets. But I also knew that several major deals had fallen through recently. Something didn't add up. Using my access privileges, I discreetly altered some of Chad's spreadsheet formulas, making his already inflated numbers even more ridiculous. I knew Mr. Henderson, the head of sales, was easily impressed by big numbers. This would set the stage. Next, I remotely installed a keylogger on Chad's computer. It wasn't something I was proud of, but I felt justified. I needed concrete proof of his actions. The keylogger worked like a charm. I gathered irrefutable evidence of his side business, his harassment of Brenda, and his general disdain for everyone he considered beneath him. I compiled all of this information, along with my documented record of his behavior, into a comprehensive report. I then crafted an anonymous email addressed to Karen in HR and Mr. Henderson. It detailed everything Chad's harassment, his misuse of company resources, and the inflated sales data. I attached the report and sent it off into the digital ether. The next day, Chad held a presentation for the entire sales team and Mr. Henderson. He strutted around the room, pointing to charts and graphs that showed astronomical growth. He took full credit for the success, basking in the applause. I watched from the back of the room, a knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach. Had I gone too far? What if I was discovered? The investigation started subtly. Karen from HR began interviewing people, including Brenda and myself. I stuck to the facts, presenting my documented evidence. Brenda, bless her heart, bravely recounted Chad's harassment, her voice trembling slightly but firm. The keylogger data sealed Chad's fate. It revealed emails where he bragged to his friends about how he was milking the company for all it's worth and referred to Brenda as a useless old hag. It also showed his communications with his clients for his illegal business. The house of cards began to crumble. Then, the fake sales figures imploded. Several members of the sales team, people who were quietly uncomfortable with Chad's tactics, came forward and reported the figures as impossible. They provided their own data, which contradicted Chad's claims. The final nail in the coffin came unexpectedly. Sarah, Brenda's granddaughter, a vibrant young woman with fiery red hair, came to visit her grandmother at the office. She witnessed Chad yelling at Brenda, berating her for some minor mistake. Sarah, fiercely protective of her grandmother, confronted Chad. Voices were raised and a scene erupted. Mr. Henderson witnessed the entire exchange. The following Monday, I arrived at work to find the atmosphere strangely quiet. Chad's corner office was empty. His nameplate had been removed. Later that day, Mr. Henderson made an announcement. Chad had been terminated for unethical behavior, misuse of company resources, and harassment. He apologized to Brenda personally, admitting that he had been too focused on results and had failed to recognize Chad's true character. Brenda came to my cubicle, her eyes shining with tears of relief. "Oh, Mark," she said, squeezing my hand. Thank you for everything." Susan gave me a knowing smile. "Good job, Mark," she said. "You did the right thing." A few weeks later, I received a small bonus and a promotion to a more senior IT role. It wasn't much, but it was recognition for my hard work and integrity. The best part, though, was seeing Brenda back to her old self. She was cheerful, confident, and no longer afraid. One afternoon, she called me with a minor computer issue. "Mark, dear, I seem to have misplaced the icon for my email," I smiled, remotely accessing her machine. "No problem, Brenda. I'll have it fixed in a jiffy." As I worked, I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. I had stood up to a bully, protected a friend, and used my skills for good. "There you go, Brenda, all fixed." "Oh, you're a wizard, Mark," she exclaimed. "I don't know what I'd do without you." "Just doing my job, Brenda," I said, a wry smile playing on my lips. "Just doing my job remotely."